You've probably tried comparing form builders before, and after 20 minutes of reading feature lists, you've still got no idea what actually matters. Every website says it's easy, powerful, fully customizable, but until you're inside the builder clicking around, you don't really know what you're getting. So in this video, I'm not just going to list features, I'm going to open each builder. I'm going to show you the actual interface, build inside it, and point out what's great and what might get frustrating. So by the end, you'll have seen how each tool really works, so you can choose the one that fits your workflow instead of guessing from a feature list. Let's dive in. We're going to start by looking at Jotform, and rather than build the form from scratch, I can use the AI form builder, and I've got a prompt here. It says, create a corporate team retreat RSVP form, start with name and email, and then there are some more details about questions I would like it to ask, and some notes about advanced logic and conditions. So let's click send here, and Jotform's AI will go and create this form for me so that I don't need to drag and drop from scratch. So here's the form created by Jotform's AI. Let's have a look through. It's got all the questions that I've asked for here. This is good. And for this one, for example, where it says, how will you attend in person or virtually? In my prompt, I asked for a condition to say that if they select virtually, skip out the travel details, only show the travel details if they choose in person. So I can go and click on the conditions button on the right-hand side here, and we'll see whether that's worked or not. And you can see there are two conditions that have been automatically created. One says, if how will you attend is equal to in person, show the travel details and do you need a hotel question. And if how will you attend is equal to virtually, show the swag selection, but hide all of those travel details questions. Pretty good considering I didn't have to do any work here. So let's go back to the build page and preview this form in the top right to make sure this is working how I want it to. So if I click in person, I get this whole travel details section. Do you need a hotel? I say yes. And then I get the hotel check-in dates as well. Or if I choose virtually, then I don't get any of those travel questions. I just get straight to the swag selection here. The other thing that I asked for in the prompt was for dietary requirements. If someone clicks on other, I want them to be able to type an option. That's worked here as well. So pretty easy to get started. And if I wanted to add my own questions, I would go to add elements over here. Jotform has tons of options for different elements. You can see I can click and drag headings, full name question, which we already have on the form here, even date pickers and appointments, or I can ask for signatures. And one thing that stands out is I could set up a product list where I could sell products and take payment right inside the form. If I keep scrolling down, there are even more options, all the things that we would expect to see here, including time and even capture as well, which is great if you're embedding forms on websites. And I can head over to widgets if there's other things I wanted to do, for example, calculations on the form, which might help me if I'm doing an assessment and I want to calculate points scored, or if I have some kind of internal scoring system, maybe for applicants filling out a job application form. So loads of elements to choose from in Jotform. Let's have a look at how customizable the form is then. On the right-hand side, we can click on the Form Designer button. And in here, there are lots of preset colors that we could choose from. Or I've got really granular design options where I can change the page color, the form color, the font color, the input background, and so on. But there are also preset styles. So I can add my own logo. I can even change the form width of the page, the fonts that are shown, and the button style as well. And if you want to, maybe you're a bit more advanced, you can put your own custom CSS in here to design the form just how you want it, maybe to match your website. Then there's the Themes tab. So if I don't want to mess around with colors or styles individually, I could go and choose one of these preset themes here. And if I go to Layout, I've got the choice to change this from a classic form into a card form as well. So let's click on here. And you can see now it's separated all of the questions into individual pages on here. And to show you what this looks like, let's preview the form again. Now I click Start. There's the information at the top of the form. I click Next. And then I fill out one question per page. This is similar to how you might have seen Typeforms that we'll get to in a moment. Let's turn off this preview for now. There's one last thing I want to quickly touch on in Jotform, which is if I click on Form Builder up here, we can see all of the other apps available inside Jotform. So not only could I switch to tables to see all of my form responses come in a spreadsheet-like format, there's an inbox where I get the messages when people respond to, but I can take it much further by going to the workflow builder and build my own workflows that send different emails, perhaps to me or the team or to even a supplier or back to the respondent based on the responses in a form. Again, using lots of conditions and different logic if I want to. So that's Jotform, but it's not just about features, it's about pricing and what's available for free too. Jotform has a free forever plan that you can get started with. It has submission limits, but pretty much everything inside the tool is available. And then you can upgrade as needed if you need more submissions or enterprise features. Let's take a look now at our second tool then, which is Typeform. Similar to Jotform, when you start a form in Typeform, you can prompt with AI. So I'm going to put the same prompt that I use for Jotform in here and click submit. So here's what Typeform's AI has come up with. It's got name, email address, it's got this question, and it's branching based on the answer to that question. So if it equals in person, it's going to go to the travel details section. If it equals virtually, it's going to go to section 2, which is the swag selection. That all sounds just as I want it. And here on that last question, do you have any dietary restrictions? If someone selects other, then it will go to this question here, which is please specify your dietary restriction. So an extra question rather than just something in the same field there. But let's click apply and see what happens. And just like with Jotform's Copilot AI, you can chat with Typeform's AI here to create more questions on the form and so on. And I can click through each of the questions on the left. You see it's one question per page. So the person needs to fill out the question and then click to move on to the next one. There's not a choice to set this up a different way. Let's take a look at the design options then. If I go into design, I can go to the gallery here, and there are a few different designs that are preset that I can choose from. So maybe let's go for this one here. And there are different question types we can choose from as well here. Here's the full list. So not quite as many question types and widgets as we see in Jotform. And the free plan on Typeform is limited to 10 responses per month, whereas Jotform's includes 100 responses. And I can click through each question to go and make edits to it. So this how will you attend question, for example, I can then look at the branching settings that were set up here. Obviously, I could make edits if I wanted to. And Typeform is mainly set up for business. So there are options to do lead scoring, for example. Up on the top left here, it's universal mode that's for any form, but we could do lead qualification mode. Or in a paid edition, you could set up a quiz, like you could with calculations in Jotform. If I click up on workflow at the top of the page here, this gives me a visual representation of how the pages move through the form as people fill it out. But as you can see, I feel like the layout of Typeform is a little bit more complicated for a beginner user. The next form builder we're going to check out is called Tally. And using Tally is a bit more like building a page in Notion than it is using a traditional form builder. It looks like there's no AI to get started in Tally, so I'm going to need to put in these questions manually. So I can start with a title here. I'm going to put the team retreat RSVP like this. And I can choose to start from scratch, or I can choose a template. So if I click use a template, let's see what we've got. So you can see there are a handful of templates here for different use cases like newsletter signups, website questionnaires, resource feedbacks, and so on. And some of these templates are made by Tally and some by other users. I'm not going to use a template this time though. I'm going to just start from scratch. And to build the form, I type a / and then I have to choose the answer type that I want for each question. So I'm going to choose short answer for the first one, type the question. I'm going to put name, and then I'm going to type the / again. And this time I'm going to go down and choose email here. Give it the title email like this, type the / again, and I need a multiple choice question. And I'm going to build out the rest of this form and I'll come back once I've finished. All right, so after a few minutes, I've created the form. I've got all of the same questions that we saw on the other form, and I've split it into pages here. And you can add logic in Tally. Just like everything else, I need to type a / and then type logic and then set up how that logic is going to work. So we're going to say when how will you attend is in person, then jump to page and then choose page 2. And I'm going to do the same again, adding logic, this time saying that when someone chooses online, then jump to the last page 3 where we ask about swag and dietary restrictions. This definitely took me longer to set up than the other two because I've had to manually type all these in rather than have AI create for me. And we can look at the customization options at the top here as well. So you can choose a light or a dark theme or something completely custom, change fonts and the accent colors, the page layout with a logo, a cover image, and so on. There really are a lot of customization options here, and you can add custom CSS as well, just like we saw in Jotform earlier. So Tally seems great if you like using tools like Notion and you're used to that kind of workflow. You can build in a really similar way. It's also free to get started with unlimited forms and submissions, but if you want some more advanced features like custom domains or the ability to remove branding or even collaborate and advanced customization, then you'll need to move into a paid tier. Now we're going to look at Google Forms, and similar to Typeform and Jotform earlier on, we can get started with AI now if you're using a workspace account or have an AI license in your Google account. And I'm going to put that same prompt in here. Now, I expect that this won't work quite as well because advanced logic isn't available in a Google form. So let's see the form it creates first and go from there. Okay, it's asking for name, email address. It's got these questions, right? Perfect. I click create form and now I can edit this here. Now, the only conditional logic that's available in Google Forms is the ability to go to a section based on an answer. And you can see Google's AI hasn't actually added this logic for me. So I'm going to click on this how will you attend question, choose the 3 dots and choose go to section based on answer. Now, at the moment, I only have this one section. So what I would need to do is add a whole other section here That now puts these travel details in this section, similar to how in Tally I had to break it up with different pages. So I'm just going to put travel details as a title of the section here. And then I would need to set up another section at the bottom here for more questions like this. And if I go back to this original question here, the how will you attend, I can then choose, instead of continue to next section for in-person, we're going to choose go to section 2, which is travel details. And if they choose virtually, we're going to choose go to section 3 for more questions. So there's some basic logic, but not more advanced conditions. That is literally all we can do there. Then if I want to customize the form, I can click on the paint palette icon at the top of the screen here. I can do things like change the font styles for the headers, the questions, the text. I can choose a header image and change some of the colors as well. But there's nothing here like advanced CSS or much more advanced customization on the page, like changing the width and so on. And whilst I can get Google Forms to send me an email every time someone fills it out, there are no further workflow customizations where I can send emails to different respondents or to my team and so on. And when I'm ready, I can click publish and choose to make this available just internally in my business here, or I could make it available to anyone to fill out via the link. The final tool we're going to take a look at is Microsoft Forms. And you can see I just get a blank form to start with. I can give it a name here. So let's call it Team Retreat RSVP. And if you have the right license, you'll be able to use Copilot to help you build a form. I don't this time around, so I'm going to need to create this form from scratch again. So I choose Quick Start and I can choose a question type. So I'm going to start with text and put in name, and I'm going to add another text question and put email. And again, I'll come back once I've finished the form. So a few minutes later, here's the finished form. I've added all the same questions as before. And just like in Google Forms, I've created these sections, one for travel details and one for other information just here. And again, similar to Google Forms, I can add some basic branching. So I can choose this question here, click the 3 dots on the right-hand side and choose add branching. And then say, if they choose online, I want them to go to the other information section and skip the travel details. Or if they choose in person, I want them to go to the travel details section. One thing I will say when designing this form, the drag and drop functionality is not as good as some of the other form builders I've used today. It's a bit clunky to drag it in the right place. So it might be easier to manually click the down arrows to move things around, which can take a bit more time. Let's go back out of the branching options then, and we can look at the different styles that we can choose from. And I can choose multiple different types of layouts for a Microsoft form. So if I click through these, you can get a feel for the types of design that you'll get like this. And you can choose one of the different preset styles under here as well. So let's go for maybe this one here. There are some settings you can change similar to Google Forms. For example, you can set an end date. And one nice thing is you could give people a duration to fill this out, which is great if you're doing tests or assessments in the classroom. You can shuffle questions, show a progress bar, and so on. And I can preview the form here to see exactly what it will look like as people fill it out. They'll click start. And you can see here's the first page. If I choose in person, that should then take me through to the team retreat. If I go back and choose online, that will then take me straight to the swag selection here. And just like with Google Forms, it connects to an Excel spreadsheet inside Microsoft 365, so you see all of the responses as they're coming in. Microsoft Forms is included for free in Microsoft 365 with any account, but if you have a license that I mentioned earlier, you might also get access to Copilot too. Now that we've seen 5 different form builders, let's award them all a different category. We'll start with the best free option, then we'll look at the best for design, then best for corporate, and then what I think is the best overall and the most powerful. So I think for the best free tier, it's got to go to Tally. There's lots included. It's basically unlimited forms and submissions, but there's no AI and you've got to build everything from scratch, which is maybe fine if you like Notion, but there's something about the speed in using AI to get you started, which is helpful. For design, I think Typeform probably wins for the most modern design. It's really well known look now where it's one page at a time and you've still got lots of flexibility in how you might change it. If you're in a corporate environment, probably Microsoft or Google Forms, depending on the platform you're using, is going to be the best because it's already within the ecosystem that you're using and is available at no extra cost. But overall, for the most powerful tool, I think it has to go to Jotform. All of the different tools that sit around the Jotform Forms app, like tables and workflows, you can create apps and even AI agents that people can speak to whilst completing your form, I think help it take the top spot today. I hope this video is helpful to get you started in choosing a form builder. And if you've got any questions about Jotform, you can put them in the comments. If it was helpful, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.